What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Farinho Talks Milan. I'd like to start this video off by giving a shout out to the guys on the Short Corner podcast. They're on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. You can follow them on Short Corner Cast on Twitter as well. Had a blast filming with them last night, so look out for their new episode. Finally, we get the response needed from Milan. It's been a week and a bit, a hellish week and a bit. Milan haven't scored a goal from open play in 4 games. Of course, there's been a lot of defensive troubles. Milan have lost the vital games in that space. But the performance against Roma was exactly what the team needed. And without further ado, here are 6 things we learned from Milan's massive away 2-1 win against Roma. Number 1, a positive start. The way Milan have started has been completely different to the way they started in any other game so far. They put Roma under pressure very early on and were unlucky to not go ahead when Tomori put the ball in the back of the net from an offside position. If you watched Milan in the first 5 to 10 minutes, they could have been 3-0 up. Zlatan was uncharacteristically poor, but it was the positive start needed and it set the tone for the game. 2. Milan are unlucky in the goals department. To continue on from the previous point, Milan were creating chances for nothing. They, in the first half, I think had 7 chances, 2 of which were clear-cut. Tomori had a goal disallowed for offside. Ibrahimovic had a goal disallowed for offside, both correctly. So Simon Kjær hit the post. Rebic drew some saves of Paul Lopez. Zlatan drew saves of Paul Lopez. And the play overall was positive. Milan were all over Roma. They were getting the ball in dangerous areas, and the only thing lacking was finishing. I don't think it's down to luck or lack thereof. Early on in the season, Milan would take these chances. But again, it's a positive step and a step in the right direction given how this team have failed to really hurt opposition from open play in the last 4 games. I also think it was one of Milan's best attacking performances, of course minus the goals. And despite Hakan being off the boil, they still looked like they could hurt the opposition. Number 3, Ante Rebic is an enigma. I don't understand how that man functions. When he's on form, he's unplayable. When he's off form, he dribbles like a drunk middle-aged uncle. But today, he was my man of the match. From the first minute, he looked sharp. He was composed. He put the goalkeeper under pressure. He created a few chances for Ibrahimovic, one which was rightly called off offside again. And in the second half, he turned it up one further. I think he was Milan's best attacking player on the field. He was precise and clinical, and Milan have been lacking that in recent weeks. If Rebic can match the consistency we've seen from March last year up until late last year, he can be a really important player for Milan, both in Serie A and in the Europa League. Milan miss his goals, and I bet he misses getting on the score sheet more often. Number 4, Paul Lopez was incredible. I don't know what else to say. He kept Roma in the game. I think he had a similar performance when he was still at Real Betis in the 17-18 Europa League season where Milan just couldn't score a goal past Betis. And again, he was outstanding. Had it not been for a few of the saves he made, the defeat could have been a lot heavier. Number 5, great response after Roma draw level. Jordan Veretout has been in incredible form this season. He's a central midfielder with double digits in goals, and he's been one of Roma's best performers. And after he scored that goal, the response from Milan was exactly as it should have been and exactly what was lacking in previous games. They stuck in there. They withstood all the pressure that Roma put on them, and they came out and scored another goal. Now, I do think on the goal itself, Tonali and Kessie both had a very good game overall, but they could have prevented that goal. Nevertheless, it was a great strike. The big thing here and the big takeaway is Milan revisiting the form of last year. We've seen it in the Lazio game, the never say die attitude, where the players don't give up. And that again resulted in Rebic's goal, and it won the tie for Milan. Number 6, 3 more injuries. Hakan, Ibrahimovic, and Rebic all got substituted because of injuries. Now, I don't know what the extent of those injuries are, but in the space of 10 days, Milan are playing Udinese, Verona, and Manchester United. And it's going to be difficult if they are out for all 3 of those games. Against Udinese and Verona, I think the team might pull through without them. I'm not too sure what Ibrahimovic's form will look like after he's done dilly-dallying at the music festival, but I do think they need to be available for the Manchester United game, and they need minutes in the Verona game beforehand. Of course, Napoli is up after that, so this could potentially be disastrous depending on how severe the injuries are, and I hope that they aren't. Now for the player ratings. Donnarumma gets a 7. He's always reliable, and he did his bit when he was called into action. He made a good save when he slipped, even though it was offside, but that's what we've come to expect from him. Simon Kjær gets a 7. He was unlucky to have not scored in the first half. He was very close, and I think he'll really be waiting for his goal. I think he missed one against Roma last time out. But it's good to see him back. It's good to see him getting involved both defensively and from set pieces. He's a real asset in the air, and hopefully a goal will come for him before the season ends. Tomori gets an 8. This is how you take your opportunity. With Romagnoli being dropped, Tomori stood up and took the game by the scruff of its neck. He had a goal disallowed for offside, and defensively he was fantastic. He is going to make it very difficult for Romagnoli to worm his way back into the team, and rightly so. He's done everything to justify being given a starting position. Theo Hernandez gets a 7.5. I think next to Ibrahimovic, in general, he's been one of Milan's most potent attacking threats. He did frustrate me a little with his decision-making. He could have passed the ball off to Salamakers. He could have notched an assist, but a very good game, and this is the Theo Hernandez we love to see. Calabria gets a 7. He has a great understanding on the right-hand side with Alexis, and he was fantastic going forward as he was defensively. Franck Kessie gets a 7.5. He has been quietly the most consistent player for Milan through this difficult period. I think on a whole, since March last year, he has been next to Donnarumma, Milan's most consistent performer. And from the penalty spot, he has ice in his veins, and he very rarely misses. Sandro Tonali gets a 7.5. Since his red card, he has seriously turned things around. He displayed how good he can be defensively, making a vital block, and he was very good carrying the ball forward. Of course, he's still going to make errors here and there, but he's really, really grown, and I think that needs to be acknowledged. Ante Rebic gets an 8.5. I don't need to explain why. He was simply unplayable today, and he scored a beautiful goal. Hakan gets a 5.5. New day, same Hakan. Salamakers gets a 7.5. Another underrated performance from Salamakers. He very rarely stands out and grabs the headlines, but he did provide the assist for Rebic's goal, and overall he was fantastic. Zlatan gets a 6. I can't remember the last game where Zlatan missed 4 or 5 chances, especially one that was as poor as his backheel attempt, and he just wasn't taking them. Of course, a player of his quality will bounce back in no time. Prime Diaz gets a 6.5. He was tasked with playing sort of a false 9 role, And of course, at this stage, Roma were getting more into the game, which made it even difficult for him to get on the ball. But he did well. I don't think he's shown all of his capabilities, but he clearly has the talent. Leao gets a 6. I don't like when people call him lazy Leao, but it's difficult to argue with that when you see a performance like that against Roma. And again, the you see what people criticize, the laziness, but then you also see what people praise, where he showed great footwork to beat 2 Roma defenders in the box. They knew if they touched him, it was going to be a penalty, and he managed to get a shot off. He's certainly a very frustrating player to watch. But the talent is there, and he just needs to couple that with hard work. He'll be a very good player. Krunic gets a 6.5. Well, 2 fantastic Krunic performances in 3 games. He nearly caught the keeper off guard from a 40-yard strike, tried to score from seeing the keeper off his line, and credit to him, it was a good attempt. And he defended decently as well when Milan were under pressure. So a very good performance from him. Meite and Castillejo are unrated. I didn't see enough of them. To be fair, for Castillejo, I didn't see enough of him. Meite just looked like a cone in central midfield. He really wasn't in the game. Pioli gets a 7.5. His team selection was spot on today. Him bringing on Krunic instead of a winger allowed Milan to sit deeper, and despite Roma getting more into the game in the latter stages, it turned out to be the right decision. I'm still not sold on Meite. He's just there and doesn't add anything to Milan. And I thought that could really jeopardize Milan's chances of winning the game, but all's well that ends well. Tactically, he ripped Fonseca apart. At times, Roma had to rely on getting the ball to Mayoral to hold up because they couldn't utilize their width. Kessie and Tonali in midfield shut Roma down for most of the game, and the high press put Roma on the back foot from the off. Milan could have and should have buried the game, but it's a step in the right direction. A massive victory and a much needed confidence boost, not just for the players, but Pioli as well, who would have undoubtedly started to feel the pressure. Of course, the biggest thing about this game and about his team selection is him dropping Alessio Romagnoli for Fikayo Tomori. Of course, Romagnoli has been one of Milan's worst performers recently, and Tomori has done everything to warrant a starting position, and it paid dividends. Where to from here? Well, let's see how Pioli handles it. Just to add an additional note, and this is unplanned, I'm just going for it. The title race is still very much on, and today's victory was absolutely massive. It was massive not only in terms of how the team performed, but given how Lazio dropped points and Juventus dropped points on the same match day, Milan have capitalized for once on their rivals dropping points. They tend to not do so for some weird reason. And it just gives them a little more breathing room to the teams in 4th and 5th. It will also be interesting to see after the next leg of European games. Lazio look like they're out. Atalanta might be out. We don't know yet. Both Atalanta and Juventus might be out. We don't know yet. And this is even more vital because if those teams are out of European football and Milan manage to defeat Manchester United, they will still be going into the Europa League knockout rounds against much better opposition, and that could stretch the squad thin. Nevertheless, I'll always say that top 4 is still the objective. I think Milan can win the Scudetto, but the pressure is on Inter now, and Milan just need to win every single game that's in front of them. I'm really pleased to praise Milan players instead of criticize them. It's been a very long time. I started to think maybe starting this channel was a jinx, but I never lost faith in the players. I didn't lose faith in the coach. Pioli has turned it around. Now it's time to look forward. As always, thank you for supporting my work. It takes a lot of time and dedication, and your support means everything. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. leave me feedback, message me on Twitter. I am wrong side. You can find me at Farinho_10 or Farinho Talk. And lastly, Forza Milan.